True Repenter here. In today's video of Calendar War series, we are going to cover last chapter, which is how to apply Creator's celestial calendar in real time. This chapter will explore how to apply the Creator's celestial calendar in order to find Father's appointed times, such as new moon, Sabbath, and yearly feasts in real-time setting. In order to properly apply Creator's celestial calendar, one needs to calibrate time in the scriptural manner. This means we need to learn how to calculate different units of time according to the scripture, as it's the only way to truly determine Father's appointed times and not to be deceived by one world of religion. This chapter has been segmented into subcategories. First is how to calibrate 1 hour. Second, how to calibrate 1 day. Third, how to calibrate 1 month. Fourth, how to calibrate 1 year. Fifth, how to calibrate leap years. Sixth, how to calibrate jubilees. And finally, the last subtopic is how to find Father's appointed times in today's time and setting. For the sake of the length of the video, I'm gonna make separate presentation for each topic. So without further ado, let's find out how to scripturally calibrate 1 hour. Minimum unit of time in the scripture is half an hour, as can be seen in the book of Revelation. Although this half an hour time represents a prophetic meaning rather than literal meaning of half an hour, it is still worth noting that half an hour is the minimum time unit you can find in the scripture. And my question is this half an hour 30 minutes or is 1 hour 60 minutes? Let's find out. Everyone in this world uses 24-hour clock system. This system uses fixed conventional time unit that designate 24 hours to a day. I call this fixed hour system of the secular world. How about the scripture? In the scripture, there is relative hour system. It means duration of 1 hour changes depending on the length of the daylight based on seasons. For example, the length of daylight is short in winter and longer in summer. Therefore, one will end up with a longer duration of 1 hour in summer and shorter duration of 1 hour in winter. So let's validate the relative hour system in the scripture. In the book John 11:9, Yahushua directly mentions that there are 12 hours in the day. So from this passage, we know that the duration of a day length is 12 hours. However, looking at this passage only, it looks like the scripture supports fixed time of hours. But let's look at another passage. In the book of Matthew, we know the length of days are changing. Although this passage speaks symbolically about the Great Tribulation, by likening days of great tribulation as shortened days, it's a proof that the scripture supports the length of the day fluctuates throughout the year. So we know although there is 12 hours, these 12 hours are applied to the changing length of a day depending on seasons. Another proof that the scripture supports relative hour system is in the book of Genesis 1:16. Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. From this passage, we know the greater light, which is sun, rules the day. As sunset times are different throughout the year, we know that the scripture supports the relative hour system. This automatically abandons the 24-hour length of the day in the secular fixed hour system. Also in the scripture, day is equal to light. Therefore, different lengths of daylight throughout the year should be taken into account when calibrating 12 hours. So we find out that the 12-hour system with fixed length of 1 hour is not biblical. Now I want to go through various traditions on how to count 1 hour within Jewish community and the conflicts within. Basically, there are 2 major points of view on how to calibrate 1 hour within the Jewish community. One is a viewpoint by Magen Avraham, who calibrates 1 day from dawn to nightfall. Second is by Vilna Gaon, who sees a day from sunrise to sunset. So let's find out who is scripturally correct. The first calibration method for 1 hour by Abraham is to divide hours between dawn to nightfall by 12 hours. However, there are different calibration methods exist in Abraham's point of view in determining the 12 hours between dawn to nightfall. Calibration method A is counting dawn as 72 minutes before sunrise, and sun has to be 16.1 degrees from the horizon, and nightfall starts 72 minutes after sunset. Calibration method B is counting dawn as 90 minutes before sunrise, and sun has to be 20 degrees from the horizon, but it's based on spring equinox. Calibration method C does not provide calibration method for when dawn starts. However, it provides that one has to count the hour of dawn inclusively, meaning time of dawn is equal to first hour, and nightfall starts when 3 stars appear in the sky, and it marks the end of 12 hours. Calibration method C has a problem, which is watching 3 stars in the evening sky to determine the starting hour of nightfall is that sun is not at its highest point at the midpoint of these 12 hours. Now let's move on to the second point of view, that is to distribute 12 hours from sunrise to sunset by Vilna-Gaon. So this person Vilna-Gaon calibrates 1 hour by dividing time between sunrise to sunset. Both perspectives on how to calibrate 1 hour have its own challenges, such as what happens if it ends in minutes? Hours of a day change based on latitude. Sun at 16.1 degrees below horizon results in longer day when one is further from the equator. For example, if you live near the northern equator, your day will be 2 hours longer. So I'm gonna validate which point of view is scripturally correct, and even I want to find out answers to these challenges. Firstly, we need to understand that there are different types of darkness and different types of light according to the book of Jubilees. When our Creator Father created darkness and light, He created 7 types of darkness and light. One group has 4 types: abysses, darkness, evening, and night. Another group has 3 types: light, dawn, and day. These 2 groups are not necessarily darkness versus light, because evening has both light and darkness, but it's grouped with darkness. And dawn also has both light and darkness, but it's grouped with light. Also, it's important to point out which element of creation is equal to darkness and which element of creation is equal to light. In Genesis 1:5, we see our Creator Father calls light day and darkness night. So darkness is equal to night, but abysses and evening are not equal to darkness. Likewise, light is equal to day, but dawn is not equal to light. And further in the same passage, it reads, "And the evening and the morning were the first day." So we know a day includes creation elements. A day is equal to light, and light includes creation elements of evening and morning. However, the day does not include creation elements of night and dawn. This means although we know chronologically after evening there is night, and before morning there is dawn. However, these times of night and dawn are not considered as day or light. So we know a day consists of times of morning and evening, but not dawn and night. And we need to find out how the scripture defines morning and evening. Morning is defined in the book of 2 Samuel 23 verse 4. "He shall be as the light of the morning when the sun rises." Likewise, evening is defined in the book of Deuteronomy 16:6. "There you shall sacrifice the Pesach at evening at the going down of the sun." So both morning and evening are defined in the scripture as the times when the sun is present. So between these two, Magen Avraham and Vilna Gaon, we know Vilna's point of view is correct. So now we know the date of 12 hours is the duration between sunrise to sunset. In the scripture, we have passages that addresses different hours of the 12 hours. We have the 3rd hour, 6th hour, 9th hour, 7th hour, and 11th hour. Then how do we know which calibration method of 12 hour is correct? Do we count the sunrise time as 1st hour, or do we count the sunrise time as time 0? Thankfully, most controversies can be cleared up by the words of Hamashiach. In the book of Matthew, there is a well-known parable about the kingdom of Yahuwah that is likened to vineyard where 4 laborers who receive the same payment. And if we look at the laborers who were called about the 11th hour, in verse 8, we see that evening was come. So we know there is a time gap between 11th hour and the evening. And according to the Deuteronomy 16:6, we know evening equals sunset. And when we read further verse 12, we know that time between 11th hour to evening or sunset is 1 hour, because these laborers only worked 1 hour. So 1 hour prior to sunset is called 11th hour. So counting backwards, let us know that we have to count the sunrise hour exclusively. So numeric values of 12 hours of a day starts from 0. So let's just learn how to apply this calibration method in today's time and setting. In this graph, it shows the path of sun at spring equinox when day and night are equal by 12 hours. So in this case, it's really easy to calibrate 12 hours as it's already evenly distributed 60 minutes per each hour. So the sunrise time 5:47 a.m. equals hour 0. And the sunset time, which is 17:48 p.m. is equal to 12th hour. And 1 hour for this day is approximately 60 minutes. But how about winter days when daylight has less than 12 hours? This is the sunrise and sunset duration for the day 20th December 2022, which is 10 hours and 4 minutes. Then how do we calibrate 12 hours in 10 hours and 4 minutes daylight? We simply divide 10 hours, 4 minutes by 12, which gives 15 minutes, 20 seconds for 1 hour for this particular day. In summary, the scripture hour follows the relative hour system, which means the duration of 1 hour changes depending on the length of daylight throughout the year. And you measure the length of time between sunrise to sunset and then divide this time by 12. And we count the time of sunrise exclusively. How about these challenges of these oral traditions of Jews? With the sword of the word, we can easily reject traditions of men. It's not from dawn to nightfall. Let's look at some challenges. It doesn't matter if it ends in minutes or seconds. Just divide this time by 12 and 1 unit equals 1 hour, even though it's not 60 minutes. Hours of a day differ based on latitude. In other words, it changes based on your location. Just base it on your location. And forget the position of sun because 12 hours does not start from dawn. So we don't need to know the degree of the sun that starts the dawn. For the convenience sake, perhaps we cannot fully abandon the word 24-hour clock system. But I just want you to be aware that this clock system was designed by Satan based on equinox and obelisk worship. So it's extended sun worship system that makes us forget our Creator Father and His design for time that has unique revelation about the truth, the word, especially the end time prophecies. According to the scripture, time always needs to reflect nature, and nature reflects truth. So the enemy wants to hide the truth from us. What truth does Satan want to hide from us by making 24-hour fixed clock system? He wants to hide revelations about end times and great tribulation and His grace. There's a passage in Matthew that talks about great tribulation. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Again, in this passage, fluctuating nature of the length of the day is used as a parable of the Great Tribulation. Hamashiach likened the Great Tribulation to winter season, when days are shortened. From this, we know Hanukkah is a appointed time that foreshadows Great Tribulation. Also, Hamashiach said, pray that we don't escape in Sabbath or in winter. So it means the Great Tribulation is in winter, when days are shortened. So I hope we are clear on the scripture hour and how to calibrate a relative hour. Next presentation, I'm gonna present the scripture day and how to calibrate it. So please stay tuned and wait for the next presentation. Shalom. Bless you in Yahuwah's name.